And welcome everybody. We are live right now with the Morphotonics. And hi.
Hi. Yeah, nice to meet you. And my name is Jan Matthijs Termeulen. I'm from the company Morphotonics. Morphotonics is a Dutch company selling roll-to-plate imprint equipment, and hereby we can add very tiny structures to large surfaces. I'm one of the co-founders, and we have a very nice team.
And so this is technology that actually affects a whole bunch of stuff, right? You have in your slides, you're showing the different applications, for example. And Erhan, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Erhan Ercan of Morphotonics. I'm based in the US, but working with the company, and we'll show you what we got today.
All right, so maybe you can, for example, go to show some of the applications. So it goes from everything from micro LED to AR to e-readers, e-ink, and for example, right there. And so you're in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. As you can see in this quote at the top, a lot of people think that you're absolutely correct that the nanoimprint lithography is one of the most promising technologies that's out there to create nanoscale patterns over large surfaces. That's the name of the game for us, patterning nanoscale and micron scale patterns on large surfaces, and there are many applications. Right, Matthijs?
Yeah, that's correct. So by adding micron structures or nanostructures, you can optically create a special effect, which is beneficial for a lot of applications. And we can make such surfaces. And we can not only make it and replicate it well, we can really make sure that you replicate it on large surfaces, so beyond 1 square meter.
All right. So you're in Holland, is a Dutch company?
Yeah, that's correct. So as many here in the region of Eindhoven, I have a background from Philips. I worked many years within Philips, and I worked on the optical disc. So I developed within the team the Blu-ray disc, and already within the Blu-ray disc we used well, of course, the injection molding, but also beyond the injection molding, we used the stamping into resin and then curing it by UV light, and thereby we could make a dual layer disc. And it's basically this technology which we further expanded and developed, and which we are using today.
And so can you go into more details into the different applications? And so you say you developed the Blu-ray disc. Does it have to do with the nano imprinting, or like the discs have some kind of, how did that work? And how is it related, maybe?
The Blu-ray disc, it already has a very small nano groove. So the optical pickup head follows the groove structure on the disc, and thereby also it depends on whether it's a ROM or rewritable disc, but it reads out the structures with the information. But basically, it follows a nano groove, and so this is already a nano pattern surface. And if you want to create more layers, then you have to make sure that this nano pattern, this groove structure, is well replicated in each layer. And once the optical disc technology was finalized or ready for production and even running in production, then we thought, how can we reuse this technology as many other groups did? And we focused on solar PV, and we integrated these structures to redirect the light and get the light trapped in the solar panel. And this works, and thereby you can enhance the efficiency of a solar panel of 2, 3, 5%, which is really interesting because the cost is low. Actually, I didn't work on the topic. I worked on OLED lighting, and then in OLED lighting you have losses on each interface. You have losses in the cathode, losses on the front glass, and if you add nanostructures, you can enhance the performance of an OLED. And while doing this, OLED lighting are typically larger tiles and especially solar panels are really large. We noticed that there was no equipment which was capable of replicating these nanostructures or microstructures on a large surface. And this is where we started the company Morphotonics, where we develop equipment for the different applications. And as I already telling you, the application can be solar, but it can also be OLED lighting, but it can also be displays.
So is it like optics, and you are like a lens in front of like the solar panel, or lens in front of the e-reader, like we see there's e-readers there, or when you're diffusing the mini LED, is also to do with like optic kind of like thing that happens with the structure design that you do?
Yeah, that's correct. So if you have a large prism, you can break the light in all kind of nice colors. Or here is a diffractive optical element. You see the nice color breaking on the surface, diffracting, and that depends highly on the structure which you use. So, for instance, if you have a large prism, but if you make many small prisms, you could try to get the same optical effect, and then suddenly it becomes possible to integrate these thin layers, having micron structures or even nanostructures into very thin displays. And this is basically what we do. So,
is it like a layer that goes on top of the display, or you actually, where do you put this? It's like I always think there's some kind of film that people put on top of the display, right? Is that where you are in the film?
Yes, but it depends on the application. So you can think of indeed a layer which you add on the outer surface. But what we make is well, basically we sell equipment, but what our equipment makes is components, and the component is a substrate with a nanostructured layer on top. And the substrate, it can be glass, it can be a foil, it can be a metal layer. But once it passes the process, it is a optical structured. It has an optical structured surface. So it has a nano or micron structured surface, and then you can use this surface either inside in a display as a diffuser, or a waveguide or a light guide, but you can of course also use it on top of a substrate as an anti-reflection surface, or reducing the reflection on the solar panel. So this also makes that there are many different applications.
So it is highly dependent on the application, Nicholas. Basically, depending on the application and the requirements of the application, the temperature requirements, the dimensional stability requirements, all these things, and obviously the structure itself and what function it needs to do. All those things come into play when imprinting these textures essentially. But we try to be as agnostic as possible from an equipment standpoint, meaning, if a customer wants to do biosensors using our equipment, that's fine. We will definitely help them out, or Lidars, or, privacy screens. So in that sense, we try to be as agnostic as possible.
So like there's a question right here from Johan. Would that help making lenticular 3D displays? Because on your slide, it says something about 3D displays also. So what do you do in that part?
Yes, to answer the question, yes, we can help in making 3D displays. Actually, there are different technologies. One of the technologies is that you use lenses, and the lenses direct the light either to your left eye and your right eye. And if you combine it with the software, you get a 3D image. And we can replicate these lenses. Other solutions use some kind of waveguides, and also typically we can replicate waveguide surfaces.
So and we have on your slide also it says AR, right? So are you part of the waveguide? Or you actually making the waveguide? Which part of you make it the waveguide possible?
Yes, that's the point. We make it possible. But we have to make one remark. So we as mentioned, we sell equipment, and we develop a process together with customers, and then the product can be made. But the starting point of the process is a master, and we are not a mastering company. So we work together with mastering companies, and we can help customers getting in touch with the right mastering companies. But we do not make the first structure. Once you have the first structure, which can be an existing product, or it can be anything, any service you would like to replicate, then we can take it as a start. And then from that point, we make intermediate stamps, and our process can make from that first product a lot of copies.
And Erhan, you're in the Silicon Valley?
No, I'm in San Diego, about an hour from the Silicon Valley, in California.
So in California, so you are interfacing with a whole bunch of potential customers and stuff like that, doing cool projects, like developing new future tech stuff, or current tech. Like your technology is like, is it in the millions of stuff right now, or is it in the millions of stuff in the future?
It is in the millions of stuff in the future, but it is already in certain products. This technology is a proven technology. We have actually, we have customers that have put out products that are in the market today, and our equipment is running in high volume 24/7 at some of their factories in Asia. And there are more products that are coming out of the pipeline. Of course, some that we cannot talk about, but these are, as you can see in this slide, these are some of the areas that we are currently focused on, and we have customers and potential customers in. So those are ongoing discussions. But what I can also show you, if I may, is on this next slide. You'll see that the kind of work that we have done is, okay, yeah. So what Matthijs was talking about earlier is that our ability to create these structures that are both in micron and nanoscale. So just to, in terms of the texture sizes, we can actually do quite a wide range of textures that you can see in this slide, from 50 micron down to 50 to 100 nanometers, which is quite a wide range, and that's one of them.
Is that 500 times or something like that? It's like it sounds small, but you can get even smaller.
Yes, that's correct. 50 micron is typically, it's a hair, the width of a hair. But we can go 100 times or 1,000 times smaller.
And what are we looking at? This picture right here, it says markets and applications. What is that nice looking chessboard?
Yeah, this is a demo sample which we made, and this includes 3 complex technologies which we want to show. First of all, it gives the customers an idea of what kind of structures can be replicated. You can think of diffractive optical elements with a nice shiny color, but you can also think of micron pyramids. So it gives customers an indication of what's possible. Secondly, what the demo shows, that with our technology, that within that the process settings allow to replicate different structures in one pass. So it's quite how to say it? The process has margin. It's not that it's a process which is only dedicated to replicate one kind of structure. No, even within the process, you can already replicate different structures, and this shows the flexibility of our technology. And thirdly, and maybe we can discuss later, what you see all kind of tiles. So you've seen areas, and all these areas, they have a different structure, but it means that they are all replicated from a different master. And what we did we tiled all these masters together to one large master, one large demo master, which we replicated in one pass. And this shows the capability to scale up a master to larger surfaces, which is very important if you want to make as many products as possible.
Maybe later in the video we can see a little bit of the machines that you have. So as far as I understand, you're doing very large things. So is it big, like a huge TV kind of thing? Or like, could you, for example, one of the issues I think many TVs have is a reflection. Do you do something to take away the reflections on those? Or do you more like enhance the nits, more brightness? Or what could you maybe do that's very big?
Yeah, again, we can do different things. So what you mentioned, yes, we can reduce the reflection, but we could also, these days, mini LED is a hot topic. So then the backlight unit uses an array of mini LED placed at the back instead of using edge lit LEDs, and that has a very nice performance. The contrast is improved. Black becomes more black, but there are also technical challenges. One of the challenges is that the mini LED generates quite some heat, so the diffusers which are placed in front of the mini LED have to be thermal stable and should not expand. And this is complex, of course. I don't say impossible, but if you would use a glass plate, that could have an advantage. So our technology could also replicate diffusers on glass, which can be placed inside displays. So there are different possibilities.
What about the e-readers that we are seeing here? What do you do with those? Because the very important thing when I see an e-reader or sunlight reflective display, like TCL just showed the next paper, or there's a clear ink that is coming out hopefully quite soon in big way, and e-ink, is that it needs to be matte, or it needs to be like anti-reflective, or is that what you do with that?
Yeah, that's well possible, and we look into this. Yes, of course it's difficult to tell what we do exactly for our customers, but this is certainly one of the topics which are studied.
And then we were talking about the AR glasses, right?
Yeah, I think AR is a very interesting topic, but also needs some explanation. So AR is there are different AR technologies, and one of them is that light is projected on the side of the glass, and through waveguides, the light is redirected to in front of your eye, and this technology uses gratings, and we can replicate these nano gratings. And typically, these products are made on wafer scale, so this is a smaller size. For instance, wafer scale, because you can replicate on a high refractive index glass. In our case, we could do same, so our replication fidelity has same quality. But we could add more products on one large area plate. So with our technology, we could replicate with same replication fidelity, with same quality, but more product in one imprint cycle. And so we can increase the throughput. And if AR is a success, then I think this roll-to-plate imprint technology is really promising.
And if I scroll around, still, because your applications kind of slide showed so many like very big markets, like the future huge trends, like Lidar. Lidar is important for self-driving cars. So what's your role to play in the Lidar, for example?
Lidar, these sensors, typically they have lenses, optical lenses. And we can replicate them well with again a good replication quality. And this is basically what customers are looking for. They want to have an optical structure replicated either on a glass or a PMMA plate or on a foil with a good replication quality. And this is what we deliver. So with our equipment, you can replicate optical structures on any surface with a good replication quality. And then suddenly, because our systems replicate on a large surface, you suddenly have a mass market opportunity. So therefore, even sensor for the sensors, our technology is useful.
So when you talk about replicating, sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah. The common theme across all these applications is the fact that they all need sophisticated, precise, large area replication in order to be commercially feasible. And that is the common theme across all these different applications, because they all need some sort of a light management scheme, and they all need optics in front of it, built in it, whatever you may want to call it. But they need to be, one, sophisticated, high fidelity in most cases, some not so much. But at the end of the day, for them to be commercially feasible, low cost, or enough of a cost point that it is viable, they need to be in a large area, or they need to be produced in bulk, if you will. And that's where we come in. We can basically help produce these optical structures precisely, yet at the same time in large areas, hence enabling, commercial feasibility for some of these guys.
So I try to understand. There it says security holograms, and you're showing like a banknote, like money. Mm-hmm. Are you involved in your technology? Could in theory print the future of money in a better way, or something like that? Or which part of it are you doing? Are you doing the thing that the printing machine uses to print, or are you actually printing every note with your technology?
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot print banknotes. We would love to.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So your company is not printing money? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but we can add interesting features to banknotes, optical elements. Yeah, again, these nice shiny colors. Yeah.
But there's like some future shiny stuff that could be even more shiny and better in the future that uses your technology that's new in a special way?
Yeah, that's correct. Or it's already used, but we can enlarge the throughput, so we can make it more cost effective. Yeah.
And before you're mentioning that, is it a little bit like the beginning of Morphotonics was to do solar, or is it part of? So
that's correct. Yes. Yeah.
So what's your role with the solar? Do you collaborate with a solar panel company to enhance the percentage of the efficiency?
Yes, with companies and with institutes. It's not an easy market, so it's really a cost-driven market where where it's difficult to adapt new technologies. So at the moment we are further developing this process. Well, the imprint process more or less is finished, but you really need good field data on the performance improvements, and this is what we are now gathering. This picture is really nice. Last year, our structures are used by the Belgian team, and they won. So well,
they beat the Dutch.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because usually it's the University of Eindhoven that always wins this stuff, no?
Yeah, or the Delft team. So, but the Delft team didn't use our structures, and they lost. They lost. Yeah.
So you make the solar. This is like the future of Tesla, right? Where you don't even need to charge the Tesla anymore. It just runs forever. This is solar.
That's correct.
Million-mile battery, right?
And then if you have 2% extra gain, additional gain, then that's already interesting.
And right here we have another question from Johan. I feel like it could help making light field cameras cheaper since the lens is a big issue. What do you think? Can you work in that area? Light field stuff?
Yeah, we can. I must say that there is if the product is small in itself, small, then if we make one imprint, we already make 1,000 of products, and so there is a balance between the volume which is needed and the suitability and the match with our technology. And I could imagine that such smaller detectors have a better fit with the wafer scale industry. But yeah, that in principle we can make these services. Yes.
And what are we looking at now in your slide? What are you talking about there?
Yeah. So I really would like to explain, but maybe it's good if we go back one or two more slides earlier, because so we're here, for instance, or here. So what does our technology? What do we do? So I already explained that we replicate a structure from a master. So once you have a master, so once you have a first structure, that can even be a wooden structure or a stone structure or whatever structure, we copy this structure onto a stamp. And it's a little bit like the potato stamping when you are a kid. We make sure that this intermediate stamp has anti-stick properties. So we do a few tricks with these flexible stamp, and then this stamp can transfer the structure, which is a nano or a micron structure, into a resin. So we coat the resin onto the substrate. We press the stamp into this resin, making sure that the resin conforms to the surface of the stamp, and then we cure the resin. It solidifies, and then we can, because of this anti-stick properties, we can delaminate the stamp, and the structure is present on the substrate. And the nice thing is, because the anti-stick properties are really good, we can immediately reuse the flexible stamp again and again and again. So this is the basic principle of our equipment. And the nice thing is that this process is scalable. So you can simply enlarge the roller, or you can enlarge the substrate, you can enlarge the flexible stamp, and then suddenly you can, as shown here, you can suddenly replicate on really large surfaces. So this is our latest tools or equipment.
This is a big machine.
Really a big machine. So it can replicate on surfaces of 1.1 by 1.6 meter, basically solar panel size. But also, and then I will explain it later, you can also, depending on the size of your television at home, you can replicate multiple television sizes in one pass. So here what you see is we developed two modules. One is a coater and one is an imprint module. And what you're looking at right now, this is maybe the heart, this is the imprint module. And you see already a small movement of the stamp being pressed on the surface, and here it's delaminated, and then the structure is copied on the surface. So here you see two structures aside, which are replicated on the substrate. Here you see as tiny areas and larger gray areas. These are optical structures which are replicated on the glass. And as you can see here, we can replicate this as a really large surface.
So this kind of machine that you have is something that you just make a bunch of these machines and you ship them around the world to different partners who start using them and stuff like that? Or you do everything in Holland? Or you license the technology out and they do it in their factories and stuff? Or how do you do this?
Yeah, so we have basically a simple OEM. So customer can buy our equipment. We develop the process for the customer. We optimize resins, the imprint process parameters, maybe the small adjustments of the master, and then then the customer can make their own products, or we also have we also work together with, for instance, a foundry like Temicon, which has the equipment, and they could make their products. So it depends on the customer, but the goal is to make a lot of optical components to be integrated in products.
So are you define yourself as a like not 3D printing, but nano 3D printing, or nano just printing, or how do you describe it?
It's different from 3D printing. With 3D, you build up a structure by printing droplet on droplets. What we are doing is really imprinting. So we copy a structure from a master. So we copy a structure on a surface. So we press the mold in the resin, and then we make sure the structure is well replicated into a resin on a substrate.
Here's another question, if I may add in, from John, is asking, how about darkening on cue with liquid crystals, transition from AR to VR? Do you understand the question? And do you think it made sense?
If I understand it correct, what you could do is you could put a second layer on top, which is a liquid crystal layer, and then if you if you switch the liquid crystal, then you can change the refractive index, and then you can make certain structures visible. So meaning that in an on state or an off state, the refractive index of the liquid crystal matches the optical structure, and therefore you don't see the optical structure, so you have a direct see-through. But if you put if you change the refractive index of the liquid crystal and lower it or raise it, then suddenly the optical structure becomes visible, and then you can have an optical effect or an AR effect or a VR effect. Yes, yeah, and that's well possible. Actually, this is in some applications really being used. Yes.
Simon was asking, seems like SLA, but very thin film-like materials, as in you cured by UV like SLA, but in sheets. Is it correct what he's saying? I'm
not familiar with the term SLA, but I think that's indeed what we do. So we use UV curing of a resin on a sheet, and the sheet can be a foil, a film like a roll-to-roll, or can also be a wafer, or it can be a glass plate. Yes.
And Johan is asking again, wafer-like machines running on a conveyors.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
Then surprise face.
Yeah. And to tell, the replication quality is really comparable to wafer scale. So yes, it is.
Would you describe yourself as like how old is the company? How long have you been doing this? Are you like a startup, or are you like world famous and market dominating?
No, we not yet. No, we were started Morphotonics 6 years ago. So maybe we are not a startup anymore, but we are a starting company. But we already worked upon this technology for 10 or even more years, 10, 12, 15 years. So we have a lot of experience, but Morphotonics is only 6 years old.
And you have more stuff maybe to show in your slides. And Erhan, what would you describe some of the plans and what's happening in the future and stuff like that?
So as we mentioned, earlier, since we try to stay as agnostic as possible in terms of the applications, we try, we keep our eye on the upcoming technologies and areas where our equipment could be used. And with that in mind, our goal is to sell as many of these equipment as possible, obviously, so that people can make many different varieties of products using our equipment on, again, micron or nanoscale for 3D light field displays, AR glasses, bifacial solar panels, whatever that may be. And as a company, we are nimble. Although we've been around for the last 6 years, we turn things around pretty quickly. If a customer wants some sampling done because they have an idea for a certain product and they're not sure whether it's going to work or not, we can do those things very quickly, and we have the know-how and the experience to make that happen.
All right, and there's more questions, if I may bring in here from Simon.
SLA, yeah.
Asking about stereolithography and how layered can these go? Is it possible to mix materials into the resins?
Yes, but we commonly we don't do. But yes, that's possible. Yeah, I can think of a few applications, or you could try to make it conductive, or other applications. You can also indeed build a multi-layer stack. So for instance, you have a first layer, you planarize it, and you build a second layer on top. And this is well possible, but yeah, as again, it sounds all simple, but the devil is in the details. So the expansion coefficients of these layers must well match, and durabilities of these stacks need to be tested.
And what's the Aurora? It looks like an even bigger machine. And so is that bigger than the other one that we saw before?
Yes. Yeah. This is a mass production line. So this is in Asia, making products which are used inside of commercial products. And it shows that our technology is really proven. So the roll to plate imprint technology works. What it also shows is that there are different steps. So it's not only the imprinting, it's the coating, as already shown in the earlier movie, but it's also, for instance, the primering of a glass. And quite often you also need to clean the glass prior to the imprint process.
All right. So you are exhibiting at the online display week, right? And so it was basically to talk about this stuff at the virtual display week conference.
Yeah, at the beginning of August, this was our first time, and it was actually SID's first time in the last 50 years, I guess, of being virtual. Especially if you're selling displays, that's something that you have to see. Seeing is believing, and it was kind of hard to obviously show for a lot of people. But in our case, since we sell equipment that makes components that go inside displays, especially, among other things, we try to do our best. Long story short, we announced our Portis 1100 line, which is essentially the R&D and small-scale production line. By the way, the name Morphotonics comes from, just a side note, from the morpho butterfly. And we selected the different types of morpho butterflies, like the Portis or the Aurora, for the names of our products. Just a side note. But again, at SID, we have announced the Portis 1100, and 1100 stands for the width of the substrate, which is 1.1 meters or 1100 millimeters. And the Portis 1100 has been accepted, and we already have some public and some non-public customers that we are going to ship this product to in the next quarter.
All right, cool. So this your technology may have a significant role to play in all these applications, and when people are going to see all these. Everybody's dreaming about getting AR all the time. There's glasses and stuff like that. And I like to use my e-ink laptop outside. And I want to see more reflective displays on smartphones, on laptops, and sensors. When you talk about, maybe you could just mention just a little bit again. What's the idea when people are doing the sensor with your technology? How do you get, what kind of sensor is possible because of your technology?
Here it shows biosensors. The other also next to it is Lidar sensors. These sensors are typically small, and it doesn't sound logical to use rotor plate replicating on a large substrate. But then again, if you need a lot of products, for instance, in the automotive industry, where a lot of sensors are needed, then suddenly we give the opportunity to replicate a lot of small sensors in one imprint cycle. So because these are structured surfaces, optically structured surfaces, or in the case of biosensors, it can be gutters, then we can replicate these surfaces in a high volume. And moreover, for biosensors, it's typically you have volumes of 10,000, maybe 50,000 of products, and then the sensor changes or the design. And our system is very flexible. So by changing the flexible stamp, which is inside in the equipment, you can replicate a different product. And this makes our technology interesting for the different applications. And that's also, I think, it's shown in the movie, which we just showed in the video. You can see that there are multiple products tiled on one flexible stamp. Aaron, if you can show the movie again, which we showed earlier.
Sure.
So this is actually the Gen 5 coater and imprint module. We also have a smaller imprint module, which the port is 600. And so we can replicate structures on really large surfaces. But most of our products, like sensors, but like AR or like displays, are smaller. So for instance, mobile phones are only 10, 50 centimeters long. But you can put a lot of mobile phones sizes on one master. And this is also what you will see in the picture in this movie. So, well, on the left side, it's the coater. On the back, there is the imprint module. And here in the imprint module, you see that a flexible stamp is mounted. So this is a copy from a master, but it does not have one structured area. It has multiple structured areas. So here you see that we copy in one pass two products or two product areas. And this is just to show the opportunity. In fact, there are 4 copied, and a lot of small products are copied. But this shows the potential of the imprint technology, and also why sensors could make sense. Yeah.
Nicholas?
I think Nicholas is maybe lost in all the
details that we've been given him.
Yeah. Actually, one of the comments was whether it could be used in meta materials, but this is indeed possible. Yes. And Nicholas, you're on mute. Yeah.
We can hear you. Technical difficulties.
Maybe Aaron, did not discuss the one slide which I asked to discuss later, which shows you a lot of the wafers.
Yeah, I have that up on
Now-
my screen.
Now you hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry about
Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry. I had to change
No worries.
batteries and stuff. It's weird.
Okay. So I have
so
a
you
slide
said
up,
you have another thing to show on the slide?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So what our focus is, we could replicate one really large display. We could add an anti-reflection structure on a very large outdoor LED wall, whatever, or on a solar panel. But as already mentioned a few times, we could use the large area to replicate a lot of small products. So what do we do? So we have this large flex stamp, which is a copy of the master. What do? We make sure that on such large white flex stamp, there are multiple products or inverse of the product inverse structures are tiled on this flex stamp, and then within the same imprint cycle, you can replicate the different products. And yeah, this is we think it's needed for some application, not for all, but this suddenly you go beyond 300,000 products per year to a few 4, 5, or 10 million of products per year. And this is if a technology really becomes a consumer product, this is needed. And yeah, we think this is the main benefit from the roll-to-plate technology.
All right. Let's bring another question right here from Simon. Could nano imprinting be done on fibers, sort of one-dimensional metamaterials?
Yeah, fibers are really thin, but they are also curved, and we typically replicate on flat surfaces. Of course, the surface can have a curvature, but if it is really round, then it's more complex to add structures.
He's asking about massive scale nano engineering manufacturing.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That's our proposal.
Cool. So it's kind of awesome. So lots of different, you're enabling a lot of stuff that people are planning to do anyway, or they want to do, but they need the right way to do it, right? Everybody wants to do AR and solar and sunlight readable and sensors, but there's all kinds of way to do it. And maybe if they don't use your tech, it might be the wrong way to do it.
There are other good techniques. So wafer scale is really a nice replication technology. Roll to roll is also a really nice technology. So we're together with these technologies. We are, for instance, in the European Fabulous Consortium, and it's for some applications there's a really logical fit with Morphotonics. For others, if you want to have your optical structure on a foil in large volumes, roll to roll could be a better production method. But indeed, yes, for many applications we are in interesting technology where there could be a clear benefit, and yeah, we encourage companies to seek contact and see what we can add.
Do you talk a little bit about how do you work with them, like in terms of they just contact you and they say we want to work, and then there's all kinds of how the prices are and stuff like that?
So if I may, yeah, the way that would work is, obviously in the spirit of trying to stay as independent as possible and not compete with our customers, we don't do any production, right? We don't actually produce products. Our customers produce the products, and we don't do any mastering because that's also very highly proprietary, the design, and it depends on the customer. Customer A might have a different design than customer B, and this is where intellectual property, potential intellectual property conflicts, and also respect for intellectual property comes in, and we highly regard that. So what we do is when a customer comes to us and inquires about our ability, our equipment's ability to do a replication, we can say, well, we can do a quick sampling for you. And in most cases, the first sample is free. And if the design looks like it's something that we can actually replicate, then we take on the job of doing an actual sample. And we send that sample back. And if the customer, based on the measurements they do, etc., if they like it, then we move on to the next stage of doing more samples. And eventually, it's a long sales cycle. This whole process can take 6 to 9 months, a year, maybe in some cases. And at the end of the day, then they decide to place an order for one of our equipments. And that equipment then, gets used by the customer in their facilities to manufacture products. That's right, Matthijs?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, and it's a whole process which takes time, but it is also to ensure that the product is made with the right quality. So it's not only equipment sales; it's also process development together with the customer.
And if I may bring another question in from Simon, is asking what industries can you reveal you're actually selling products to, and or specific companies you might be able to talk about? And I think there was a little bit of a joke before asking, is Tesla one of your customers? Of course, you don't have to answer, but if they aren't, then maybe how would you, how would your technology make Tesla cars better? For example, would it be compatible in somewhere because they have lots of sensors or cameras or something else?
Yeah, you can think of different applications on the solar panels, but also in the sensors or in the inner displays. We're making, for instance, one of the topics is that the side driver looks at a nice movie, but the driver should not be distracted. So there is a privacy mode for the side driver. That's a possibility, but you could also even think of maybe at some point the batteries, which need pillar structures inside of the battery. It's really, as Aaron mentioned, we are agnostic, and everywhere where nano or micron optics or nano or micron structures are needed, we can add in it with a low-cost production method.
You mentioned batteries. So there was a battery day yesterday with Tesla. What can you improve in the batteries? What do the batteries need that you can help with?
It's an example, but batteries quite often have they want to have a largest surface area, surface structure. So they sometimes they have some pillar structures, and we can replicate such surfaces.
All right.
And, if I may, there are some public companies. There are some companies that I should say that we have publicly announced earlier this year. We had some press releases. There's a German company called Temicon that we work with closely, that are in the foundry business, among other things. And they are one of our customers, and we plan to, we are working on actually shipping some equipment to them so that they can actually produce products using our equipment for people that are interested in not buying one of our equipment, but instead outsourcing that service. So Temicon could be a partner for that. And then, we sold one of our equipment, which is also another public one, to a Swiss institute called CSEM as part of the Fabulous program, which is a European subsidy program working on freeform optics for many different applications, among one of them being augmented reality glasses. But there are also some other, companies that we cannot disclose here.
Okay, there's another question just came in talking about dragonflies. They can see all angles at once. There's something to do with eye tracking. Does that make any sense to you? Are you inspired by the dragonflies too?
Well, first of all, this is is interesting to learn. I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, eye tracking, this is typically used in 3D displays, which really makes sense and which is being used. I'm not sure whether our technology could be used for eye tracking, but for sure, there is a benefit. Yeah.
I don't know about dragonflies, but mata-eyes and fruit flies, on the other hand, if you, Nicholas, show this one slide, if you may.
The slide?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll bring it there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So this is something that we just recently have shown a demo of a double-sided, dual-sided mata-eye structure, and you can see those structures right there. It's kind of hard to see, but they're about 1.3 micron, I believe, pitch, right, Matthijs? Those pillars.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So
maybe you can zoom in on the slide, or maybe not.
Let me see. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So these structures basically is what is in here in the center part of this imprint we have done. And as you can see, these are the areas where the mata-eye structures exist, are present. And this is where the light gets transmitted. Hence, they are transparent. But the areas without those mata-eye structures are reflected. The light gets reflected. Hence, they are hazy. So going back to your comment about earlier, I would love to have my e-ink laptop outside, or basically this anti-reflective properties of the sheet is enabled by using a similar concept as is found in the eyes of the moth or the fruit flies.
All right, and there's another question here. I hope we're not getting to you. You have a hard finish, right? Soon. It's on one point. Oh, if I click on this one, sorry. There. Do you see the one that says, is there a jump in quality with the privacy screens? I've seen some privacy screens that somehow, I mean, the thing about privacy screens is that they lower the quality a little bit, but they add privacy. But what's your privacy? Is it good? Or how is it different compared to the other privacy technology out there?
Yeah, we don't develop applications, so we do not actively develop the privacy screen structures or how it's integrated in the display. And I think how much quality is lost depends highly on the design. I think there are some that almost have no or don't have any loss in resolution, but yeah, they quite often they use a light guide or they use surface structures lenses, and which can be replicated and yeah, which could be replicated with our roll-day technology.
But one thing to add to that is that current privacy screen solutions are film-based. So you put a film in front of your laptop or your screen or etc. In our case, that would be built in. So you can electrically switch between a privacy mode and a non-privacy mode, which can help with the brightness or transmission of the light.
Yeah, thank you. That's good to be added.
Yeah.
What's the girl having with her? Is that AR around her eye and enabled by your waveguide?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a standard stock picture right here of the girl, but what you're seeing at the bottom left and right here are actual slanted gratings, waveguides. And Matthijs, maybe you can talk about that.
Can you zoom in on that one?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. What you see is that the structure is placed on an angle. So basically, I'm not sure how it looks like. It's either this or this, and this makes it really hard to manufacture these structures, but also difficult to copy these structures. But these structures have a very big advantage because they can diffract the light under a certain angle, and therefore these structures make very good waveguide. layers. So they are typically used in AR to couple the light in and out. And then if you look at an AR glasses, either the in-coupling structures or out-coupling structures are typically these slanted gratings. And then despite that they are difficult to be replicated, we can replicate them well, which is very promising.
And if I may bring in one more question here. So Simon is asking, your devices could produce circuits. Is that what you're talking about when you show those sensors? Or is it relevant for that?
So we replicate optical structures or surface structures. So these are nano or micron structured surfaces which have an optical property or which create gutters. So therefore, it's not a circuit yet. So it can help in either in biosensors or even in printed electronic to be part of a circuit, but we are not yet itself.
All right. All right. So thanks a lot. So a lot of things are going to happen in post-corona Morphotonics. You have a lot of plans and developments, things happening.
Correct. So one of the things is that we now have the imprint modules and decoders at Gen 5 size. This enables customers to make imprints, but we further want to automate it. So what you see here on the board is these are the standalone modules at Gen 3 or Gen 5 size. But on the next slide, you see the Aurora, which we discussed, which is the Gen 3 mass production line. The next thing is to go to a Gen 5 mass production line. So we're working up on this.
Nice. So you have already 5 generations in 6 years. So 5 years later, you'll be at like 10 or 11 gen. What's the longer term vision for your technology? How useful is this going to be? How important is it? How it's going to change the future?
Tremendously. It certainly is an interesting technology, which is really an add-on on existing technology. So it can further enhance production of structures. And now I think a lot of companies start to be aware of the benefit of adding small nanostructures or micron structures into their display or products, or as being sensors, or as having optical properties. So this opportunity is now being explored and can become quite big. And I think augmented reality is an example, which is already well explored, but certainly not there yet. But others will come in the coming years.
Yeah, our goal is to have as many of these applications. As many of these applications right here being addressed by our equipment. That's the bottom line. We want to make our technology as ubiquitous as possible, and as many of these applications using our equipment to produce their components to enable unmatched experiences like light field displays on very large areas, or augmented reality glasses that are actually affordable and wearable, and Lidar diffusers that can be on every car, and solar panels that can be put on Teslas, and so for all those reasons, again, the name of the game for us is large area replication of micron and nanoscale patterns.
And when you were mentioning before with the university in Belgium, for example, there's this partnership that can happen with startups and universities and smaller groups who have new ideas, and you are ready to work with them because you are ready to do stuff in smaller test quantities also and stuff like that?
I mean, obviously, there has to be a path for commercialization. We would like to see that as a startup. We are still a startup, so that's why we need to see that progress. But yes, short answer is we have done a lot of work, with universities and subsidy programs and so forth. And we would welcome anyone who wants to reach out to us. Morphotonics.com, info@morphotonics.com are ways to get in touch with us.
Nice. Yeah, it's really nice to see some real products and some not just playing around in a lab, right? You want to see huge quantities out there eventually and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's already realized. So there are already commercial products being sold with our optical components inside in displays. So it's not a fantasy. It's not another startup idea which is seeking attention. No, the technology is proven. The equipment is being sold, and there are a lot of opportunities.
And also, I mean, you have real products out there, and it's big. But you want to see new things also, and the time to market can be fast with your technology as you slot it into the manufacturing system, and it doesn't delay 6 months. Some cool new project.
Our equipment is ready to go. Of course, these equipment being installed in factories, it does take time, and there's a cycle related to that. But from our point of view, we are ready to go, ready to make things happen.
All right, thanks a lot. I think you told me you had a meeting. I'm afraid. I'm sorry if we're going into your next. You have something going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, but thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for talking about your technology, and looking forward to maybe more. You're gonna post on your YouTube channel maybe some more videos showing the technology and stuff like that. And you have a LinkedIn or something people can follow you?
Please.
Twitter.
Yeah, please follow us on YouTube and LinkedIn. We don't have a Twitter account yet, but those are two places where people can find us. And again, morphotonics.com. We thank you, Nicholas, for your time and for the wonderful presentation.
Thanks for tuning in very early, right? It was early over there in California.
It was, but that's okay.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.